So the supplier issue's been resolved. No specificity given, but in a recent interview, Lynn Calder, the CEO of INEOS Automotive, says it's essentially a supplier resource, but to this day hasn't mentioned seats as the essential component that led to the shutdown, or mentioned that Recaro by name, except to say that Recaro itself will be making announcements about their future in the coming weeks. Hi, it's Josh, and I'm a Grenadier fan who likes to follow the news and events, or should I say the trials and tribulations of INEOS Automotive. Well, according to Lynn Calder, employees are returning to work on January 2nd for prep work and safety training and to reestablish protocols, and production set to resume as early as the following week. The suppliers have received notice to ramp back up, and all systems are back to go. The fact that they're getting directly back into production and that no mention of re-engineering has been made, my guess is that they either bought or cash infused into Recaro, or were a key partner in working with another group in reviving the essential parts of Recaro Automotive in order to resurrect the seat-making business, even if the most local Recaro production facility may ultimately be shuttered, which was widely reported. For a minute, there was talk of INEOS about the requirements needed to recertify crash testing if the seats were switched out to a different supplier. And if you study the seats in your Grenadier, or if you're not yet an owner by seeing the one at your dealer, you'll notice that it would not be a simple swap. Aside from any discussion of patents, the front seats have integrated side airbags, and the fold-up rear seat bench is also a unique piece that when you flip it up, you can see it clearly comes from Recaro as well. So my money is on a renewed Recaro-based supplier that will probably even retain the Recaro brand name, because half of the value of the Recaro brand name is the heritage dating back to the 1960s. Recaro has been silent on the matter so far, but the fact that INEOS never mentioned Recaro by name and only ever mentioned that a key component from the insolvency of a key supplier led me to believe that INEOS does in fact have a hand in fixing this problem. And if they are involved in any transaction whatsoever, they'd be legally precluded from discussing any aspect of a deal or discussion about the brand, the company, their problems, and that may cause problems with negotiation, valuation, or market difficulties. So my bet is on INEOS getting involved with Recaro. And it wouldn't be unprecedented for INEOS to get directly involved. INEOS purchased another ailing brand company, Belstaff, a heritage clothing brand made famous by its heavy-duty Trialmaster and Fieldmaster motorcycle jackets, which became the namesakes for the Grenadier trim lines, as well as the 1924 Belstaff edition Grenadier, which celebrates 100 years of Belstaff, even though that due to the shutdown, we're not going to see it until its 101st year. Belstaff was purchased by INEOS back in 2017, and it just in this year is said to be back to a break-even profitability. So INEOS does have some track record with taking in wounded brands that are established as a specialist in their field and having a history to be proud of, and then patiently nurturing them back to health. Could Recaro be the next Belstaff for INEOS? Let me know what you think in the comments, how this will play out, and as we wait from an official word from Recaro. Now, part of the problem that pushed Recaro over the edge and into insolvency was canceled orders, and as it turns out in 2024, INEOS was currently the only series production vehicle that used Recaro as a primary supplier. The postponement of the Fusilier project, coupled with a reduction in orders for seats for the Grenadier and the Quartermaster, which was ratcheted down from 30,000 units at the beginning of the year down to 20,000 units, took any remaining wind from the sails and triggered the bankruptcy filing. Many people like to point out that Recaro makes seats for other auto manufacturers, and they'd be correct. However, for every other auto manufacturer, Recaro is a secondary supplier, and a Recaro seat was an add-on option, and only the exception being Audi R Series, which was sadly also discontinued at the first quarter of this year, equaling another loss for Recaro. So lots of red ink. But let's focus on the news for a moment and forget about the headline. INEOS has readjusted their planned output from 30,000 units down to 20,000 units, which is also likely supportive of a full production pause from September all the way to the end of 2024. Grenadiers are certainly selling, but just not as fast as estimated. Okay, fair enough. INEOS Automotive is a new company, and they had to begin with an estimate. It was originally said that INEOS was sitting on about 20,000 orders early in the year, so maybe targeting to produce 30,000 units sounded optimistic, but possible if everybody who ordered actually did in fact buy. But does this reduction in production estimates spell a problem for INEOS? I don't think so. They had to start somewhere, and the order books and reservations may have led them to be a little more aggressive in projecting numbers. However, I believe that price sensitivity is where the problems began. And some who originally ordered dropped off once the final pricing was revealed, as practicality changes in one's mind according to the price. That probably should have been taken into account a little bit sooner, but still, INEOS is very excited about the uptake in the U.S., and Lynn Calder in her interview mentioned that the U.S. is their largest market by far, with the next 3 markets not quite matching the size of the U.S. in terms of orders and sales. She mentioned that they expect to be in 24 selling dealers at the end of this year and hopes that number to be up to 34 in 1 year's time. Mexico was recently launched, in the addition to China, so they're at full steam ahead and building infrastructure. I think their next challenge, however, is brand awareness. The recent metrics, according to Calder, indicate about 15% of the target market are aware of the brand, and that number dilutes even further when including the general car buying public. Personally, I find myself answering questions about my Grenadier almost every time I take it out, and the people who've never seen one before. So clearly, this is a job for INEOS to do a little bit of advertising. And I don't mean like the first ad with a Grenadier driving around in the dark. For those who predict gloom and doom for INEOS Automotive, I'm afraid that I disagree. Granted, the headwinds are strong for the entire automotive industry at the moment, and I think INEOS is small enough to remain lean and nimble enough to weather the storm, which includes continuing their expansion into new markets. 50 markets was recently mentioned, though I had recently also heard 40. But nevertheless, all the eggs are not in one basket. The U.S. is a big basket, so it may get more of the spotlight, but remaining small and remaining niche will probably keep INEOS Automotive on the map, while other behemoth companies do some serious job and production cuts. If you're considering a Grenadier or a Quartermaster, congratulations and don't hesitate. It's solidly built, and you'll be the envy of many as you drive around in your moderately rare and awesome 4x4. At the present 500 units sold each month in the US, the unicorn effect still in play, and you won't see your car in your color driving along beside you unless you happen to be at an off-road event. The Grenadier is special, and we all seem to care about the health of INEOS Automotive and follow the news so closely because we want to see it do well and be around for many years to come. When it comes to production, my guess is that the Quartermaster will be pushed to the front of the line so that they can resume with their product launch and deliver to existing customer orders. They also have orders for Grenadiers, but those who haven't wanted to wait have been seeking out unsold 2024s on dealer lots and helping to thin out the herd of unsold Grenadiers around the country. That's not a problem with the Quartermaster. They'll remain tough to get for a while. And within a few months, the Grenadiers will again begin to flow as INEOS works to catch up. Hopefully, we'll be seeing the Belstaff 1924 editions and also get a peek at the ArcaneWorks Detour model that you know somebody will be buying, even though I think the model is a little underbaked in the refinement department at this price point. It's still going to be an awesome 4x4, even with the annoying overspeed warning tick, I'm sure. So, mark your calendars for January of 2025, and we'll follow up to be sure INEOS is back on track. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and expect to hear other exciting news from INEOS, since they're pretending not to be distracted by this pesky little production pause, or threat of tariffs, or other industry headwinds. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.